Welcome everybody, Rick DiClemente with Astrology Unplugged, and to get involved with us on Thursday night, all you got to do is go to my website to get all the links, because you'll be watching this on YouTube or whatever. If you want to get involved any Thursday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, go to my website. It tells you how, which is starself.com, like the word myself or yourself, but starself.com. Tonight I want to make it fast because I want to show you a quick look at this miserable soul called Harvey Weinstein for a second anyway. Then I want to get into talking about what came to me this week, which is about forgiveness. And then I want to get back to our charts, which is going deeper into each of your charts. I want to start by sharing with you what his chart looks like. And here it is, and I'm not going to go into great depths about it. The man is a Pisces, but what's really significant here, and if you have any aspects similar to him, don't worry, that doesn't mean you're going to become like him. But when you add it all up and add up his socioeconomic background, maybe what his father was like, maybe what his family was like, who knows, he's just got a particular combination. But my main reason for showing you this and all of his alleged sexual crimes is because of this. Pluto in Leo, square to Mars in Scorpio. Oh, by the way, I did find tonight by talking with John, I do have the capacity at a certain time to give you control of the mouse. So if we're doing any chart and you want to point something out, I would just click and let you move the mouse around, and we'll have total chaos. Anyhow, you can see that a Mars in Scorpio has already got a very strong sexual drive. And we got a Pluto square to it. And as I've been telling you, the orb is everything. It's close, 1816, 1929, barely over 1 degree. So Mars moves very quickly, so not a lot of people have this. You've also got an Arian, he's got Aries, Jupiter, Mercury, which means dive in, do anything you want, just dive in with Jupiter next to Mercury, just do what you want to do. Aries energy can be very famous for imposing, just imposing your will upon another, and when it's opposite Neptune, they won't mind. Hey, you keep it quiet, they won't mind. They won't mind. And on the real bad negative side of Neptune, it's very subversive, it's very disquieting, it's very underhanded, shifty. Start mixing it all up together, and then think his moon opposite Cap moon, which we don't know exactly where, but to put the moon right opposite Uranus. So we see somebody who is emotionally unsteady to begin with. So, yeah, he's got the nice Venus in Pisces, and yeah, the Sun in Pisces can be nice, but when you've got this Mercury, Jupiter opposite to Neptune, and Jupiter-Neptune, as I've told you before, when Jupiter-Neptune is together, it's usually somebody with very strong spiritual interest. Even then, they tend to tail off sometimes and get a little bit distorted. When it's square or opposite, then you've really got the possibility of somebody who is living in a cult mentality, leading a cult mentality, deluded sense of God made this okay with me. You see that Jupiter-Neptune square that Kim Jong-un has, where he thinks he's from the gods. So when you mix this all together, it doesn't mean he's a sexual pervert, but it sure shows the basis of it. And the question you're going to have now is, why would it come out now? Why is it coming out now? And usually when something comes out now, it's because of an eclipse, especially with Neptune, but it's usually Saturn. Saturn's usually the guy that goes, boom, let's show reality what reality really is. Where's Saturn now? Saturn is here. Saturn is going to be at 29 pretty soon. It's at 23. Saturn is squaring his sun. Saturn is squaring the sun. A lot of planets right now are at 20 degrees. Look at 20 degrees Neptune, look at Jupiter 20 degrees. So he's being exposed. So the Pluto-Mars is the real, it's the real driving, compelling force. He just feels compelled. He can't stop himself. So anyhow, I'm very light about those things because I don't want to freak out other people who may have similar aspects of Waldemar. And it doesn't mean that other people have the same manifestation. Okay, now I want to get to all your charts as soon as I can. The other night, I mean, I knew Jupiter was entering. I'm going to take my time with this. I knew Jupiter was entering Scorpio, and I want for all of you to see this. I wrote a pretty good article a couple years ago called here it is. The difference between Jupiter being overrated and Saturn being underrated. So to show you where that URL is, I will just go here and let me see here. Okay. This, I really suggest you read this because this article was written about how Jupiter is totally overrated all the time. Always the good guy. Saturn is always the bad guy. Well, there's a lot of truth in a lot of ways, but this really paints the picture really pretty clearly because nobody's really the good guy or bad guy, and I really recommend this article to you from my website. Okay? Now, all right. I knew Jupiter's a very good planet to watch and study because it's pretty much a circular orbit. It spends 1 year in each sign. And it takes 12 years to go around. At age 24, comes back to where it was when you were 0, when you were 12, when you're 36, when you're 48. I walked into a radio station. Radio. I did junior achievement in high school, and we were in a radio station. So I'm 16, 17. When I was 24, 2 Jupiter cycles. Jupiter's radio, it's broadcasting, it's religion. When I was 24, I walked into the same radio station. I waited till Jupiter was exactly back at the same spot. I walked into a radio station. Hi, I used to be on your show in high school. I'm an astrologer. I would like my own show. They said, thank you. Fine, you can be on Saturdays. That's how effortless it was. 12 years later, nothing happened. 24 years later, I got invited back onto the largest radio station in Pittsburgh. It was exactly another Jupiter cycle. So Jupiter is very popular for opening doors effortlessly. You may want to look at your life when you were 24, you were 36, when you were 48. This works for everybody. When you were 60, the doors just open up. Anyhow, so I knew Jupiter had been in Libra the past year. And I knew it just entered Scorpio a few days ago. Now, Jupiter is not like the outer big mama planets. The inner planets are personal. Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars. They move fast. You hear about them all the time. They do not have a big impact. They're certainly important in the natal chart, but not by transit. The outer planets are very phenomenally important by transit. Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Chiron, Eris. Because they move very slowly. The outer planets are the big one. We got invasion of the kitty cat. Okay. The middle 2 planets are very underrated. Jupiter and Saturn. And there's a marvelous book on the Jupiter-Saturn conference in the 70s by Stephen Arroyo and Liz Green. It's called the Jupiter-Saturn Conference. And it's just really a video or an audio tape transcribed into word about the conference, because at that time in the late 70s, Jupiter and Saturn were about to conjunct. Anyhow, Jupiter and Saturn are very social planets. Jupiter is how you want to teach, and you have causes, and you want to fight for the underdog, and you want to get out there and rah-rah and shake your pom-poms. You're for people, and you want people to be blessed and go forward. Saturn is very much about, well, let's get some regulation to this so we all don't bump into each other. Not like the books say. In the books, the old books, and I still see great astrologers today calling Jupiter the great benefic and Saturn the great malefic. And it couldn't be any further from the truth. Saturn does have a negative connotation, and it definitely does bring aging and some hardship, but it's definitely overrated as far as how negative it is, just like Jupiter is so overrated and how positive it is. People think that Jupiter touches you, everything's going to turn to gold. Well, I told you very clearly several weeks ago, without a doubt, the most damaging planet I've had in my lifetime overall, if you look at all 150 years, is Jupiter. Without a doubt. And I'm not going to really go into why, but Jupiter can be a deadly planet if you're not aware of what it's really doing. But largely, Jupiter is a very positive planet, and it encourages you. And the thing about Jupiter, it's unwieldy. It doesn't have any control. It does not have the ability to control itself, which is one reason Hendrix's guitar sounded so phenomenal. It just exploded from his fingertips. It did no restrictions. It just exploded, which you could hear Uranus there. And yes, he was Sun opposite Uranus. But Jupiter has to be uncontained. It is pre-Saturnian. In the old zodiac, you could see to Saturn, that was the outer planet. He was the bad guy because he had ice rings around him. He was thought to be the devil. He was the planet that controlled all the others. But in a lot of ways, he had to. So the focus is on Jupiter. Now, when Jupiter is in the birth chart, I've often told you, it's much like studying. You're pulling your truck up outside in front of your friend's house. The truck pulls up, the van pulls up with all your friends in the van. And they say, get in, we're going to party. Now, what do? Your Jupiter placement will tell you a lot about what you do. I'm sorry, but I won't be able to read the chat messages until we're done here. If your Jupiter's in a fiery place, you say, boy, I'll get in the truck, let's go. If it's at a tentative place, you say, well, I'm not sure where I want to go, and when are we going to stop, and do I have enough money, and are my clothes pressed? So Jupiter has a lot to do with how you go forward. Do you bust through? Do you plan it? Are you cautious about it? Are you overexcited about it? Are you reckless about it? So your natal Jupiter has a lot to do with your sense of expansion. Saturn has a lot to do with making it work mainly by being cautious. So you can see where the two get in trouble. But the other day, I came out of a dream state, and I realized that at the moment I came out was the moment Jupiter entered Scorpio. And when planets change signs, that's called the anaretic degree. The last degree of one sign, the first degree of another, is called the anaretic degree. And those degrees are very powerful. First of all, there's not enough done like this in astrology. Instead of freaking out and worrying about what Jupiter's going to do in Scorpio, why don't we pay attention to why don't we study what Jupiter just did in Libra for a year? That's how you learn. What did it do? You got to be honest about it. You got to see the good and the bad. You can't see what the book says. You can't see what you want to see. You got to go study what did happen. And in general, what happened when Jupiter went through Libra? What do we have in Libra the past year? We have the sign of relating to others, not so much on an intimate basis, but on a partnership basis. So through the past year, in general, all of us on the planet picked up this subtle, it's not a very powerful force, Jupiter, but it's strong enough. But we all picked up the go-ahead, the green light with relationships. That's what happened in the past year. We picked up the go-ahead inside of ourselves. We picked up the sense of well-being. Sense of well-being. That's what Jupiter brings you. It's a sense of, I can do this, it'll be okay. Which is why Sagittarians, ruled by Jupiter, are so good at being cheerleaders. They're just the cheerleader of the zodiac. Come on, buddy, you can do it. That's why people love Pittsburgh. 5 planets in Sagittarius. Have a shot in the beer, smack you on the back. Let's go, Steelers. A friendly town. Fun-loving. So, while Jupiter was in Libra, we should have felt, it doesn't mean, oh, I'm going to throw away all my restrictions and just go out and party like crazy with all these people. But in general, we started to feel better about socializing. Now, the difference between Libra and Scorpio, you can't understand what Jupiter was doing in Libra and what it's going to do in Scorpio until you understand the difference between Libra and Scorpio. Scorpio is the higher octave of Libra. It's the, now that I got a girl, now that I got a guy, I'm obsessed with, let's really fuse together. The urge to merge. That is Scorpio. The deep, penetrating urge to merge, to be dedicated to each other, wuthering heights, to be dedicated to each other forever. That's Scorpio. That's the shift that we went through the other night. What I didn't realize was how much it had to do with forgiveness. Now, I'm not a preacher. Give me my due and let me tell you what I think. Could chew on it for a while. But I have studied A Course in Miracles for a long time. It's a very difficult book, and the whole book has got the word forgiveness in it about 50 million times. And it's not meant the way we've been programmed. It's really the unfortunate word. I really wish they had used a different word, because they mean forgiveness in many other senses. They mean by letting go, overlooking things. We get the sense of forgiveness in our Christian programming. Oh, he hurt you, but be bigger than him and forgive him. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. Forgiveness is the topic tonight, and I woke up and I realized that all of these resentments, we're going to talk about forgiveness in other matters too, but all these resentments I had towards people or jobs or bosses or towards parents or friends, and all these grievances I had, they suddenly lifted. I knew it was God's grace. I'm not saying to you I'm completely free of them, but I definitely saw a great big change, and I became alert to it and aware of it, and I'm studying it and I'm working with it, but I definitely feel better. And the words from the books suddenly meant something to me. You know how you read something over and over, it's words, then one day it's real to you? The books kept saying forgiveness is for you. Every healing book you talk about, besides talking about blockages and getting rid of blockages, the primary thing they all talk about is forgiveness. Everyone. So I felt that since I didn't have this resentment anymore, and the reason I didn't have the resentment is I started to see my parents were just the way they were. My people I was mad at, they were just the way they were. It's how they were. And I often do this with my clients when, oh, my parents beat the heck out of me. Oh. And I stop my clients and I say, did they treat other people the same way as you all the time? Yeah. Voila. And you cannot help it when you're little to take things personally. You just do. If I was a better Rick, everything would be better. That's just the way kids think. But I started to see my mom and my dad and some other people that I really had grievances against as innocent. Now, the course will go farther and tell you they never did anything to begin with. That's a whole different story. There's a very deeper level to it. But I started to feel all these weights come off of me. And I realized you can say what you want to. I don't care. I don't care what you say. We use those words. I've been carrying this with me a long time. Well, the verb is very clear, carry. And the noun is the pronoun is very clear, I. I have been carrying this. Nobody tied it to your leg. Nobody replaced your belt with a lead belt. You carry it. And people don't want to give it up, boy. Oh, man. People want that victimization. They want that he did it to me, because then they can say he or she did it to me, and that's why I'm so messed up and I don't have to be responsible. Deadly. Deadly. People will not let you take it from them. So you let them keep it as long as they want to have disease, which is what they'll have. Dis-ease. So I realized two things. When I work with clients, and I do a lot of astrology readings for a lot of people, in case people don't know or they're new to the show, there are two things that help a client get rid of the abuse from the family, the hatred of the family, the resentment of the father. There are two things that really, really work. And a lot of people come to me as they're taking care of their aging parent. It's a very sad time. The parent may be slipping into dementia. So it's hard anyway. And then as the parent flips into dementia, the child's flipped out because the child wants to bring solution and closure to this while there's still a relationship. Two things happen that cause freedom that I have found without a doubt. One, say you have an abusive father. Start to see your father in a baby crib. See him in a playpen sucking his thumb. And almost every single time I say that, the person goes, yeah, I can do that. And almost every single time the client is reporting to me that the parent acts very childish, because they are very childish, just like the rest of us. And as soon as they start to see the parent walking around, holding the railing, sucking the thumb, in the baby carriage, in the playpen, you don't walk up to a little baby that's 1 year old and expect a 1 year old to take care of your needs. And that's what we've been doing. So when they're able to start to see their parent as 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, much like the President of the United States, yes, he said it right here. This guy doesn't care about anything. He just wants to ruin everything because he didn't get what he needed. He's going to take us all down with him. End of rant. Promise. The second thing is you can't have resentment. You gotta want to get on with your life. Well, about 10% of my clients, well, I'm going to make him pay. I'm going to just pound on him forever, and he should, and he should, and he should, and I'm not going to visit him, and he should. And all that person's doing is just adding more bricks to their chest, just putting more and more bricks. It's always the chest, isn't it? When you talk to people, it's always pressure on the chest. Always. That's where grieving comes from. That's where the heart is. So when my clients are able to see their parents as babies, and most of my clients, 80% of them, don't want resentment. They don't want revenge. They don't want to rub it in their face. They don't want to get vengeance. Then they're free. It's unbelievable. Those two things. I've simplified. I mean, I'm not a magic man, but I've noticed that things come down to three simple things. When your life is not going forward, it's because you're holding on. And when you let go, everything moves forward. When you want to fix past relationships, see them in a baby carriage and let them go and don't resent them. I mean, my God, it's just unbelievable what those three things do. So when I started to sense and I woke up and I sensed, well, God, Jupiter just entered Scorpio. You can, when you're sensitive to the planets, you can really feel when a planet changes signs. It's called ingress. When a planet ingresses into another sign, you can really feel it. Also, this comes from Arroyo. When Jupiter was in its final days last week in Libra, 29, 29 and a half, 29 and 3/4, as it's about to leave, and Arroyo noticed this, and I've been following this all these years because he taught me. The planet stops at the end of the stage, 29 degrees, 30 degrees, Jupiter spending a year in Libra. It gets to the very edge of the stage, and it stops, and it turns and faces the crowd, and it gives them a finale. It gives them a finale. I want to remind you with one final act what I've been doing in Libra. So don't be surprised when you look at your past week if you found a summation to what your relationships have been going through in the past year. It's kind of like, ta-da, that's all, folks. Then it moves into the next sign. So when Jupiter moved into Scorpio, I started to see how that really is symbolic of forgiveness. Why? Well, this is hot and heavy, so I got to drink the water. What is Scorpio? Scorpio, the reason Scorpio is so feared is because you got to face your stuff. What do you think's happening in the US of A with our Pluto return coming up, with Pluto opposite our sun? You seen any dirty corruption coming to the surface lately? That's why people have trouble with Scorpio. That's why people don't like Scorpio staring right through them. Because they're looking at your stuff. And if you didn't have stuff, you wouldn't mind them looking at you. Oh, I got a feeling like they're looking right through me. Yeah, well, they are. And sometimes they go overboard. And sometimes you need to draw a line and they're stepping into your space. That's true too. Because usually if they're being offensive about it, it's because they're not facing their own stuff. But the Jupiter in Scorpio is about, you see, Libra and Scorpio are directly related to Aries and Taurus. This is all in the exquisite zodiac. Aries is the sense I have of me, who I am. Over in Libra, it's who am I when I'm with you. That's why Libras don't know why, but they got to have a partner. Aries is who am I. Libra's who am I when I'm with you. My identity. Scorpio Taurus. Second sign, eighth sign. Second sign of Taurus. Me, my stuff. My stuff. These things I have. These things I value. They're mine. Scorpio. What is my self-worth like when I'm with you? Taurus is really about self-worth. Scorpio is about what is my self-worth when I'm with you? Well, here comes Jupiter into the sign of Scorpio. And here comes Jupiter bringing its buoyancy, bringing its Walt Disney fireworks, bringing its optimism, bringing its enlightenment, its cheer into the sign that's we. So that is why I believe I felt a very strong push towards forgiveness. I don't think, of course, 7 billion people across the planet are going to pick this up and start forgiving. You still got too much stuff involved. And, you know, the outer planets are still doing heavy, heavy stuff. The outer planets are the ones that are long generational effects. But you should all be feeling Jupiter and Scorpio now, which is more of an encouragement, more of a willingness to get involved, more of a willingness to let people slide. So when I started to study, and you can pick up any page in the Course in Miracles, which is very long, and it just goes on and on and on about forgiveness. Because according to them, nobody ever did anything anyway, and there is no original sin, and there is no guilt. Heavy concepts. So I started digging further, and I've been digging into this for a long time. And I really feel this is the #1 place that we need to attack on this planet. It's religious dogma. When you're surrounded by people or dogma or teachings or movies or books that tell you how to behave, throw the book out. That's why people have so much guilt. Oh, I didn't behave. Oh, I didn't do it right. Oh, I didn't go to church. Oh, I didn't give enough money. Oh. And if we would just get all these rules of how we should be, how we should act, how we should do this, we won't have the comparative analysis to butcher ourselves with. That's why forgiveness is for yourself. That's why forgiveness. When I got into this forgiveness state, I immediately started feeling these bricks leaving. And I did feel a couple people that I still have to do work on. I didn't make it all the way through, but I was very shocked at how much a big chunk went away. And I could breathe again. That's a load off your chest. Listen to the words we use. Boy, that's a load off your chest. I've been carrying that for a long time. Listen to what we're saying. But I'm going to repeat what I've been high on this statement for the past month. You could turn off my show if you want to, but my theory in the past month is don't listen to anybody. Unless you're really high on somebody, and maybe if it's Waldemar talking, you may want to listen to him. No, there are certainly some people you want to listen to and you hold in high esteem. But when they start talking about rules, and they start talking about you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you didn't do that, then that's why I have this wonderful mute button. I'm not listening to it. I got enough critics up here. I have an inner nature that knows what to do. It knows what's right and wrong. It knows what's loving and what's not. It already knows. I don't need you interpreting it for me. You all know what I mean? So, as Jupiter continues, we're going to finish up here. So I can get to your charts. As Jupiter continues through Scorpio, it's not going to do it for you, but it's a good time to really start to work on this and start to see how you are really freeing yourself. Now, I want to let the recording continue. I'm going to change this so that you can unmute yourself if you would like to comment on this area. Go ahead. Or you can raise your hand. Erica, yes, let me find you here. Yes, dear.
What do you think about Jupiter going into Scorpio and that having something to do with rising from the ashes with what's going on in Northern California with the fires?
Well, I don't think the rising from the ashes is the Jupiter and Scorpio. Clearly. Go ahead.
But the fires broke out right as Jupiter went into Scorpio.
Well, I do not believe that that was the cause of it. I believe that that fire, which is so devastating, is not Jovian. It is Plutonian. Those fires are Pluto.
But Scorpio is Pluto too.
Yeah, but Jupiter is not known for burning villages down. Okay? It's not known for burning villages down. Pluto does that. Jupiter will bring us some good thing out of the ashes. Jupiter will help us. Where you want to look at Jupiter in Scorpio, it will help you to transmute and to transform your relationships that maybe have been stuck within petty resentments and stuff, and you can rise above it. But it's certainly not. See, Jupiter has nothing malicious. There's nothing at all about Aries or Jupiter that are malicious. They're incidentally malicious sometimes, incidentally as a byproduct. But no, those fires are pure Pluto.
Thanks.
Yes, ma'am. Other questions? Maybe Waldemar will give us some of his thoughts. I like putting people on. I got to do all the work here. So I'm right on a spot now and then because it's only fair. I got to do everything. What do you think, Mr. Sage?
Well, I think you're pretty much in the right direction with the Course of Miracles. I'd like to learn more about that.
Oh boy, it's a tough.
I know. Every time I open that book, I close it down.
That's very, very, very common. And I really suggest you get the book that's called A Brief Understanding of It first. Yeah, that book makes it so much easier. And I have a lot of strong opinions on the woman who transcribed A Course in Miracles. I don't think it was as rosy as people think. But I went back to the chart of October 18th, 1965, I believe, which is when she started to transcribe it, and that chart is valid. I believe that chart is valid.
But I see a lot about Jupiter and Scorpio, that what I'm seeing right now, like it has to do with a lot in the finance. And they're talking about a lot in the news. It's about budget, finance, lack of money, like the fires, the hurricanes, and all that is causing a real situation in the budgeting of the United States.
Almost all that's Pluto. Almost all of that is Pluto because Pluto is working at an essential level, and it's Neptune.
Right.
Pluto and Neptune are very strong now. And Neptune could care less how your worldly affairs are. Just could care less.
But then Jupiter is like over-emphasizing very fast this last weeks. Very fast.
That's because Jupiter and Uranus are opposite each other.
Okay.
You ought to see they got 7. Went to my house today with 7 people working on it. 7. The walls are going up and the mud's going up, and my God, I had to get out of the way. So I knew that was coming. Elke, you had a hand raised?
I've been talking about death the entire time since Jupiter went into Scorpio. I had a presentation this morning. It was really powerful as a result of my husband's passing, where the health people, they goofed. So we had a massive health education or palliative care education session today at our health facility, and I did a talk about Dennis's passing and what happened, and a lot of good stuff is going to come of it. They had all kinds of people there to educate the staff, doctors, physicians are going to be involved in redoing palliative care policy from the ground up. It was just fantastic.
Well,
but all about death.
You notice how big hospice work has become the past 10 years. Huge, 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 huge.
And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do astrology and talk about death as well with it as a tool to help people become more conscious before they're dying. I think it's just going to be the coolest thing ever.
I was giving a lecture a long time ago, maybe 15 years ago, on Pluto to this crowd. And it came to me while I was talking, and I had little sticky pads with me. You can't figure out how to turn your camera on again. John, are you here? John is not here. If you're having camera problems, I would suggest you log out and log back in. Let me try. Let me try. Yeah, Erica, I would log out and back in. Or John might want to try to help Erica. She's having camera problems. Okay, I was doing this workshop and I realized, and I turned to the crowd. It was all about Pluto, and I asked people, how many of you have something that's dead in your life? Something that is dead in your life, and you won't let it die. And they stood there a minute, and my God, the hands started raising everywhere. So I passed out these stickies, and people said, my dog, my love, my job, whatever. People hang on to stuff that's dead. Next thing I know, the walls were covered with all these people wrote down one thing per sticky and had them all up on the walls. It was marvelous. And as the evening went along, they had time to chew on it. They started to get up and take them back down. So a lot of what you're seeing, and I hate to be so nation-centric, but a lot of the problems in the world are the USA. And the USA will not face its corruption. We will not face how corrupt we are, how corrupt of an influence we have on the rest of the world. Fire me, change the channel if you want. Yes, we do a lot of marvelous things. Yes, we're a nation founded upon genocide. We do nothing but turn a blind eye. And now the president's telling Puerto Rico, well, we don't know how much we can help you. I would like to take him and drop him from a helicopter right in the middle of Puerto Rico, in the woods, let him see what it's like for these people. But anyhow, don't deceive yourself. What's going on is plutonium. All right. Now, I want to get to your charts. I've been promising you that for several weeks. We've been once around your chart. I'm going to bring your charts up, and I'm going to quickly go to your sensitive, critical spot. I'm not going to tell you much about it. I'm going to tell you where to get to work on it, where to research it, and I'm not going to dig in real deeply because I want to get to as many charts as I can. Erica, you okay now? Okay, good. All right, Erica, you're on now. Let me get to your chart. I'll start on the bottom this time and go backward. Give me a moment here. Let's see, get my ducks in a row. All right. All right, let's get to Erica's chart. Okay, Erica's chart.
Are you going to stop recording?
No, okay. I'm going to keep recording. If you would like your recording shut off, then let me know and I'll shut it off. I'm doing Erica, and I'd have plenty of people write to me, and they enjoy the chart analysis and they learn from it. So let's go into share screen. Okay. Okay, Erica's chart. We've been through this before. We see that Uranus has just passed by. Uranus has just gone through this. So what's happening with Erica is, where are you, Erica, on my screen? There we are. Since Uranus has gone through all these three planets, and this renewal of asserting yourself to be with other people, now that the excitement is over, Uranus always has two stages. The first stage is like chaos and crazy and excited, and the second stage is you get used to it and you can start to implement the new you in a smoother, more relaxed fashion. So while you look back at your last year and a half, matter of fact, with you, your last 6 years of this new chaos with other people, chaos with revisiting other people, now it's calming down. Now it's going to be, especially with a Taurus, you like that better because Tauruses don't like things happening fast. They like it happening slow. So you're now getting able to catch your breath with others. You're now getting able to reassert, to take your new position with other people. It's going to become more at your own speed. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. I lost my screen. There I am. Yeah. The last year and a half, 2 years, I've finally had time to study for the first time in a long time. Study astrology and all the other things that I haven't had time to do in the past. So I guess what I'm trying to, with people, I've been trying to get people used to the new me who is always talking about astrology or therapy or hypnosis or...
I'm not talking about you getting them used to anything. I'm talking about you getting used to being a certain way. Understand?
Well, I guess I'm getting spoiled that I can do what I want to do for a while now.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you, the getting spoiled that I can do what I want to do is true, and it's here, but it's got nothing to do with what's happened outside of you. It's got what's happened inside of you. You're inside and saying, go, 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 fast for the last 6 years. But even though you've been getting all the green light, green light, green light, Tauruses can't move that fast. It unnerves them. They can't do it. But now that Uranus is past these 5 planets, you're going to now feel less agitated about it, more encouraged about it, and you're going to feel like opening up and being easier, more comfortable about it. But what you've already shown me, which is very common, you're projecting outside as if the world is changing, but it's not. It's you that's changing. So I think it's very, very good. It's going to be very exciting, especially, have you noticed that you're hanging out with a lot of people that are much younger? Okay. That's a primary, huh?
I've always hung out with people who are either older or younger than me for some reason.
Okay, well, it's very common when Uranus is around that they're younger because it's symbolic of your rebirth. Okay, thank you. I'm going to go on to Elke now. In Elke's chart, do you want me to continue recording?
No.
All right, well, I'm going to go back here, and we're going to try this pause button.